Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the new Kershaw Launch 22. Let me tell you guys, if Kershaw keeps up with their quality, their value, and especially with designs like this, there's just no limit to their success. Kershaw is such an amazing company, and I was so happy to see another awesome, good-looking, full-size Launch Series knife with a lot of them. You know, all of the Launch Series knives are really good. They're great. It's just some of the designs are like, what the heck? And, you know, it was like one of my favorites ever was the 16. And then they made another version of that, and one of the things was it the 20 or the 21 was essentially the same thing with a drop point. Those are some of my favorites, and a lot of people I think feel the same way. So it was really cool to see them do another full-size one with straight lines and kind of that classic look with all of the quality that you expect from Kershaw and the value. This is a great price tag considering it's made in the United States and made with premium materials. I will link this knife down in the description so that you guys can check it out. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks so much to Kershaw, Kai USA, for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. Overall length of the Launch 22 coming in at 8 1/8. Blade length is 3.5. Cutting edge is 3.35. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. So up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur, it's not quite as big, but still absolutely a full-size knife by my definition. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. There's some fuzz on the PM2 today. Sorry about that. Just about exactly the same overall length as the Spyderco PM2, but with quite a bit more cutting edge. Let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action? This is one of the more powerful feeling Kershaws that I've felt. I feel like they're getting, I don't know if this has a different size coil spring than some of the other full-size knives, but this feels pretty powerful to me. This feels like they're inching closer to what I expect from ProTech. It feels really good. The button is slightly recessed. You push it, and that blade rockets into the open position. Just about exactly. Like if you've never handled a switchblade, and you've always imagined what does that feel like, it's pretty much exactly that. You push the button and the blade releases. It's very, very satisfying, and Kershaw does it in a way that makes you feel good about it, right? But it's not about, the deployment power is not about the tactical speed, or there's a lot of different arguments about that. This isn't necessarily going to deploy any faster than a manual knife if you just know how to deploy it, and it's certainly not going to give you any sort of battle advantage. You know, maybe some pocket knife folding or pocket knife combat experts might argue with me, and you know what? I don't know anything about pocket knife combat, so maybe they're right. To me, what I want, the best thing about having increased power is just ensuring that the blade will fully deploy. My test, I just push the button down and I pull back on the blade, and if even pulling it back slightly still results in the blade firing into the open position and not getting caught or partially deploying, then it has enough power. Having additional power, right, the ability for the knife to overcome debris that might build up inside of the frame, I think is pretty important, because while I'm using the knife, I want it to not only deploy, but I want it to lock out so that when I go to use it, it doesn't fold up onto my hands, of course, while I'm using it for reasonable things, right? So that's important to me, and this knife does it. It feels really, really great. I have no issues whatsoever. I think Kershaw does a great job in that territory. Let's go ahead and do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's really not all that thick, maybe ever so slightly thicker than the Para 3. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is a very easy knife to carry. I'd still call it, for a full-size knife, it's pretty compact. I have no issues with it. I didn't have any issues carrying it. I thought it was really comfortable. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use in this channel. So the pivot looks to be T8, yeah, and we have the captive side. Look at these big body screws here. This is pretty cool. I don't know that I've seen Kershaw do this. They usually have T6 screws. These are T8 body screws. Getting into this knife, you'll still have T6 for the pocket clip, but I don't think you have to take those off. Getting into this knife will be even easier than it has been. Of course, this knife, the inside of these are utilizing coil springs. Taking apart an automatic knife is not hard. Putting it back together is hard because you have to work against the tension of the coil spring while setting everything correctly and then getting the scale on and screwing it back down. I don't recommend that you get into an automatic knife. I recommend that you clean it out with hot soapy water, blow it out with compressed air, and then add some protective lubrication after it's completely dry. But if you really have to get in there, you can do it. It's not impossible. I've done it before. It's just not a fun process. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? We've got aluminum, we've got some micarta, and then we've got MagnaCut, which I believe Kershaw's or Kai is still heat treating between 62 and 64, something like that. It's pretty good. Weight, about 3.7 ounces. For a 3.5 inch blade, that's not bad at all. In fact, very good. Balance is going to be right behind the pivot right there. So very, very good. Let's do the blade stock thickness. Let's measure that real quick, and I'll give you guys a look here. A look-ski here. Probably 125. Oh, no. Wow. Quite a bit thicker than I thought. Really? That doesn't seem right. 150 thousandths. That's ZT thickness. Let's try again. Well, okay, guys, it's 150. I wasn't expecting that at all. I don't know what it is about that blade. It just doesn't look that thick. Okay. Meat and potatoes time. How did they do? Ergonomically, very comfortable. Little jimping right here. Kind of has that military bayonet style blade look. I really like that. This line intentionally does not go to the center. It's not like it was a manufacturing whoopsie. No, the swedge is not supposed to meet the tip halfway. It is designed to be a swedge up there to, I guess, it's more of an aesthetic thing, but yeah, you do get that increase, like puncture. You know, this style of blade, the spear point blade, or your bayonet style blades will definitely, excel at puncturing tasks, but they still left enough room down here to come down to a reasonably thin edge. You get it too close, the thickest part, and then you really have to taper off quickly, and a lot of times it just results in a really, really thick or needlessly thick cutting edge. But yeah, they have their blackwash finish, which is probably my least favorite finish from Kershaw. I like it when they do pretty much anything else. And I hope that they do, because I would like to see this knife in a lot of different configurations. I think a lot of other people would, including like their satin and, their raw aluminum and all of that. But this is kind of, they went with a military kind of look, or more of a outside, OD green and kind of the earthy micarta, and that's fine. A lot of people like that. There's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, ergonomically, very, very good. As far as the edge thickness, it doesn't feel super duper thin. Cutting things, I didn't necessarily have any issue. You can see there, the factory edge is fine. It's thin enough to slice paper, and this will affect people differently depending on what they are cutting and how long they're cutting and how easy time they have resharpening it. Touching up MagnaCut is going to be pretty easy with modern sharpening systems, which have come down in price so much. Most people who are pretty serious about knives are going to use knives a lot. You probably have your own guided system, which, as somebody who is not a professional sharpener at all, I use a KME, which is great. I use diamond stones. You don't have to spend that much money on a system. You can get systems for far, far less, and you can get your hands on some diamond stones and give yourself the ability to not only touch up your knives, which most of the time you just use a strop, but if you need to do some reprofiling or get rid of a chip or something, most people will be able to do that. And MagnaCut is a pretty friendly steel considering the performance. So yeah, if you don't have a system like that, I would recommend learning how to at least put a working edge on your knife is pretty easy. You do not have to be a master of edge geometry or a master of the entire encompassing knowledge to be able to put a sharp edge back on your knife, right? We all don't need to be walking around with mirror polished edges that are, 16 thousandths behind the edge or 50 or whatever, right? A working edge would be fine for most people. And you can easily do that. So anyways, yeah, I think the geometry on the blade is just fine, and it looks cool. We have nice straight lines. I think this is going to be appealing to a lot of people. Now, one thing I do want to point out with this knife, which is not typical of Kershaw, is that these inlays were not done perfectly. Not only do we have a little bit of kind of fuzz sticking out here, not that big of a deal, but it doesn't look like they were, like up here, they were laid in perfectly. Back here, not so much. We got a little bit sticking out, and it almost looks like it was not intended to be lifted a little bit on one side, and it definitely is. On this side, it's nice up here on this top part, and then over here we've got, again, it looks like maybe a little bit of gapping there. It's not bad, and it's pretty minimal, but I do want to point it out. And I mean, like, I don't even think I needed to. I think people can kind of see it. I don't know that you should expect to see that on every single one of these. I've seen Kershaw do inlays in the past with various materials, and they usually do a really, really good job. So it's possible that this one is just kind of a goof up, but it's something to consider. We have ambidextrous mounting positions for the pocket clip. You can see here this pocket clip will mark up very, very easily. It looked a lot like this when I got it. Bumping into stuff will just add to how the clip looks anyway, so I guess that's good. In and out of the pocket's fine. Pretty tight. Heavy retention on the pocket clip, but it was fine for me in and out of the pocket. You can mount it on the left side too. Left-handed people, you'll be using your index finger to deploy the blade, which as you can see is not really that difficult. You have shouldering here, and the stop pin is here. Lockup is completely and totally solid. There is no lock stick. Lots of tension wanting to throw that blade. It really does feel a little more powerful. And then we have perfect centering. $175 for a US-made, truly USA-made production folding knife utilizing aluminum and MagnaCut and micarta. I think that this is completely and totally deserving of that price tag. Typically, your launch series knives fall between $150 and $175, so this is at the top end of that, but it's right there, which in 2025 is an absolutely absurd value for an American pocket knife. You can get these materials for a little less in a Chinese pocket knife, but not much. That's the crazy thing about Kershaw, is they I feel like they make a lot of Chinese production companies sweat because their prices are really, really good. And I know that Kershaw has to operate on volume, which would make sense considering you can find a Kershaw knives everywhere. I mean, everywhere I go in the United States, I see the Chinese Kershaws. I see some of the American Kershaws. They're all over the place. They're in every retailer. I mean, like, you can't imagine if Kershaw or Kai USA has a list of authorized retailers on their website. I bet it's a freaking encyclopedia. I mean, like, it's got to be absolutely ridiculous. So, of course, they can operate on volume and not mark their knives up to absolutely insane levels, which is how I wish every American production company would operate. There are plenty of other American production companies who are producing the same volume or nearly the same volume and who just mark their knives up just because. And probably because they get away with it, you know? I like Kershaw. I think their pricing's great. I think Kershaw clearly respects their customers, whether we are just surface level, you know, Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop people, or we're people like us. We're enthusiasts and people who dig into the weeds of the value of these different materials. We're collectors. We're enthusiasts. I think Kershaw's aware of all of us, and I think that they're showing us respect by keeping their prices so low and their designs and their releases so cool and interesting. And their quality, of course, off the charts. I think the Launch 22 is an example of all of that. And so I thank Kershaw or Kai USA for doing this. I think it's awesome. I hope that these inlays are not all like mine. Mine was a little bit goofy. Obviously, it's not going to bother me too much because I got this knife for free. But you, the consumer, who will have to pay for this knife, yeah, that's something that you should consider, right? But I would venture to guess most of you will be receiving knives that don't have inlay issues or inlay gapping. So, do I recommend it at $175 if you're looking for a US-made, high-power, high-quality, side-opening automatic knife? Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my goodness, yes. It's very, very good. Extremely recommendable knife from Kershaw. It'll be going in my most recommended knives playlist. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.